Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 25, big number 25 of the eXp Culturecast. This is eXp's official diversity, equity, and inclusion podcast, and I'm your host, Cody Gilkison, the leader of our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts here at eXp. It is April, and we are talking about Earth Month. We've got so much going on for Earth Month, and I'm pleased to introduce to you guys, if you haven't met her yet, this is Katie Olson, co-chair of the eXp Climate Action Network. Katie, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Cody. My name's Katie Olson. I am a realtor in Northern Colorado. I'm the co-founder and Colorado lead for the Wonderland team. I am the co-chair for the Climate Action Network, and I'm on the Agent Advisory Council for the new Sustainability Division with eXp. I'm also the president-elect for the Northern Colorado Women's Council of Realtors as well.
You get it. You do all the things. Look at that resume.
All the things.
Most people rattle off their resume and it's things from the past, but these are all things you're doing right now, huh? That's crazy. That's so cool. So tell me about what drew you to the Climate Action Network. Why does all this matter so much to you?
Yeah, so I'll go back in time a little bit. Now I go back in time on how I got into having just sustainability as a passion. And then I'll go into how I got involved with the Climate Action Network. So back in November of 2022, I took a break from real estate and backpacked around Indonesia for a month. I was creating content for my travel YouTube channel that I have. And while I was there, I landed in Jakarta, which is the capital. And it was a big city, beautiful. And, I stayed at this really nice hotel in the middle of the city. And around the hotel, you can see all these skyscrapers, but you can also see that the air is brown. And I was like, huh. And I asked the manager, I was like, is there a wildfire nearby? Because that's what I'm used to being in Colorado is wildfires. And when the air is brown, it means there's a fire. And so he's like, no, it's just always like that. And I was like, it's smog. That's not smoke. It's smog. That's insane. And so I looked up stats online to pollution levels of Indonesia. And Indonesia is the 14th most polluted country in the world. And I was like, whoa. And then I looked up what the US is, and it's 104th polluted. So no wonder there's a big gap of what I'm used to and what I experienced when I was there. So then I start, my trip. And that was my first couple of days there when I realized that, oh my gosh, this is really polluted. And so then, day 4 or so of being there, I start breaking out really bad, the worst acne I've ever had in my life. And I was like, what is going on? And I realized that it's the pollution. And I was like, that's crazy. So I posted it on my Instagram story. One of my followers was like, did you know that the reason Indonesia and all of Southeast Asia is so polluted is because the US, Canada, and the UK ship their trash over there because we don't have the infrastructure to process it here in the States? And I was like, I did not know that. That is awful. So I looked it up, confirmed, and she's totally right that that's what happens with our trash and recycling because, we think we have a good recycling program here. And then it's actually because we have so much waste, not able to actually process all that. And so that's when it hit me that I really needed to make a difference in the amount of waste that I was producing. And then just you start researching, going down the rabbit hole of sustainability and waste and climate change and all these things. And it was overwhelming. And once you go down the rabbit hole, you cannot get out of the rabbit hole. And, I started making differences in my personal life. So I am mostly plastic free. I started a compost pile. I started researching where everything goes, where it comes from. Then you go down the rabbit hole of toxin free products and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, wow, it's just once you go down the rabbit hole, you can't get out. So then I was like, what's next? My career. How do I make my career more sustainable? So then I, had the idea that, okay, well, right off the bat, the easiest thing is to go paperless. That just makes the most sense. That's the easiest thing. So I started doing that. But I didn't really know where else to go from there other than solar panels. That's pretty much the extent of how to relate it to my real estate career, right? And right around the same time is when I went to EXPCon in Vegas and I attended Keith Everitt's training in the expo hall. And I was like, this is what I've been looking for. And so I, immediately reached out to Keith, who's also my managing broker. And I was like, okay, we need to talk because this is exactly what I've been looking for. I really want to be involved with this. I want to learn how more to implement this into my career. I want to get involved. I want to make a difference. And so that's how I got involved with climate action.
That's awesome. I love that story. I was just looking up an article that I had in another tab before this that I was reading, not even in not even in anticipation of this, but about the top polluted cities in the world, and 8 of the top 10 are in South Asia.
Yeah. And
And
then you learn
that,
why, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's
yeah,
my fault.
yeah, that's putting pieces together for me. I had been pondering that article all week about like why, and then now, okay, that puts the pieces together. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Keith is such a great speaker and a great voice for this stuff. Keith is one of the uh, currently, I think it's our longest standing chair of the EXP Climate Action Network, also a managing broker here. Yeah, Climate Action Network has been a big passion project, for me and for several people. I think it took off so fast because so many people care so deeply about it, right?
Mhm.
Um, and part of that was the conversation of why Climate Action Network should fall under my umbrella in diversity, equity, and inclusion in one EXP, right? Like, why is this part of these groups that mainly focus on people's different aspects of their identity, right? And the conversation we always had was, this is a very active community of people who very much do identify with this.
Mhm.
And also, part of the deal for our 1EXP groups is helping people make a difference in the real estate space. And you really can make a difference in this particular niche, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So why, from your angle, why do you think it's important that climate action is represented as one of these 1EXP resource groups?
Yeah, I mean, I think no matter where you come from, no matter where you live, no matter what your background is, no matter, even what your political beliefs are, because, oftentimes this is a very like politicized topic. And I think regardless of any of that, we all live on the same planet and it affects all of us, whether you want to admit it or not, it does.
Mhm.
And so a choice I make affects the people in Indonesia. A choice, I make affects my town.
Mm.
I think it matters because we all live in the same place and we're all going to continue to live in the same place. And so we have to take care of it. There's only one planet, right?
Right. Yeah. And I really do believe that it sold me. One of the founders of Climate Action Network was a woman by the name of Joan Gregerson, and she really convinced me on the impact that real estate agents and brokers can have on the climate.
Mhm.
And that was a big opening. It really opened the door for me to, yes, maybe I should take this more seriously. And I have to go to bat for this, or had to, in the opening stages, for why this should be a 1EXP group. And that really was a major part of that argument there.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Earth Month. Can you share a little bit of your perspective on the significance of Earth Day and Earth Month in inspiring collective action and driving positive change?
Yeah. So, um, with Earth Month, obviously, I think I looked it up actually, and Earth Month was started in, I believe, the 70s, if I remember right. Like, I think maybe last year or the year before was the 50th anniversary, something like that. And so it's been around for a while, and every Earth Month, I think, is more impactful than the last one. And I think it's because people are talking about it more and more. And the purpose of Earth Month, purpose of Earth Day is to raise awareness because, we should be making change every day out of the year. It's not just
Yeah.
one month or one day, but the purpose of the month is to create awareness. And I think it does that every year. There's more talk of it, more chat of it, more change made. And so I think it's definitely an important month to have. And I'm super excited to be a part of it with EXP.
Yeah. So what's Climate Action Network doing for Earth Month?
Yeah, so super exciting stuff. I'm actually, me and Keith together are leading the Earth Month charge, I guess. So we've got a couple panels happening. We're interviewing some, people within EXP and also some people within NAR that are, involved with climate action. And we're also doing a challenge, the EXP Eco Challenge, partnered with Project Drawdown, which I'm very excited for. I want everyone to get involved. It's open to agents, staff, your sphere, your friends, anybody. EXP as a company is competing against other companies around the world, not just real estate companies, but just any company that wants to get involved. And I think it'd be super awesome to have us in at least the top 5, if not number 1. That'd be awesome. The way it works is there's different challenges you can do within Project Drawdown. It can be something as simple as replacing the light bulbs in your house with LED bulbs, to getting a solar consultation done on your house, or sharing your story on social media, or I don't know. There's, I think, 50 different things that you can get involved with, and each of those things has a level of points. And then when you can also recruit people to your team. We're all on the same team, but you can recruit people. And when you recruit people to the team, you get extra points for that. And so our points are competing against the points of the other companies. And so I think it'd be awesome for everyone to get involved. It's a great way to also reach out to your sphere as a real estate agent and be like, hey, this is what my company's doing for Earth Month. How cool is that? Do you want to get involved? They can also sign up. So I'm really excited about it. I think everyone should get involved, share it on social media, get all your people involved. Yeah.
It's a pretty incentivizing way to actually take some action in Earth Month and feel like you did something for Earth Month, right? Even if it's something small, if you can get some points for it, maybe give you that little pat on the back, or whatever it is, the validation you're looking for to do it. Yeah, I like that.
There's even points on there where you can just spend 20 minutes learning about a certain topic involving sustainability too. So it's not even like that you have to like physically do something, but like maybe your light bulbs are already changed and everything else feels like too much. You can just go research, and that's good enough.
That's good. Nice. I like that. Yeah, I always tell the story. I here where I live in Illinois, my power company is Ameren, and the power company will offer you a like a sustainability audit of your house to see if you're adequately using your energy, or that's efficiency, that kind of thing. And they'll come out, and at the last house I lived at, they came in, they pressurized the house to see if there was air getting in and out. They gave me new sealant for my door jambs and that kind of thing. And they replaced my 50-year-old furnace to give me a high efficiency one. And they paid for all of this.
They paid for all of it?
Give me all new insulation in my attic. Yeah, because
that's amazing.
Because the energy company believes in sustainability and that kind of thing. It's something like $12,000 worth of work that they did on my house utterly for free for me.
Wow.
So I encourage people, if you want to take some action, maybe see if you've got something going on with your power company for an energy audit or something like that. And they can usually send somebody out to identify ways to make your house more energy efficient, which ultimately saves you money, especially if you plan on staying in the house, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And not just with your energy company too, but like there's the Inflation Reduction Act, which is from, the government, that will incentivize you with tax credits to make sustainable changes in your house. And so, I think it's sometimes 30% tax credit towards a higher efficiency furnace or something like that. I don't know exactly what it is,
right.
But
yeah.
if you Google
Inflation
Reduction,
same kind of things for energy efficient cars too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really would love to have an electric vehicle. I don't think the infrastructure is there yet.
Yeah.
For me, the closest charging station is in the next state. So
oh my
God. not convenient. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I think Earth Month is really cool. It also falls in Fair Housing Month. So we got a lot of content coming at you from the DEI side for April, as usual. And one of the things that we do, if you guys have been paying attention to our stuff so far this year, we had a beautiful Black History Museum in Frame, and we had a great Women's History Library, or Women's History Museum and a Black History Library. I got those backwards. But now in April, live right now, you can go check out the Climate Action Center in Frame. It's brand newly built, and it's really beautiful and cool. And you can learn a lot from there. You can also use it as a way to learn more about the Climate Action Network, and use it as a way to learn more about Project Drawdown and get signed up for a team there.
Yep,
Encourage
definitely.
everybody to go.
Cody's been working hard on it.
Yeah. It was a real. It was very labor intensive. There's a lot of content that went into that space. A lot of content. Yeah, we're looking forward to what's coming for next month, and certainly for Pride Month coming up in June too. We're just galloping through this year with all these experiences we're building. It won't be so tough in the following years, because frame is new and we're building them for the first time this year, and next year we just have to update. It's easier.
Yeah.
So I want to ask about, what role do you think real estate companies like EXP should play in addressing environmental challenges and promoting sustainability?
Yeah. So can we start that? Was that EXP as a company, or is that real estate agents?
What role do you think real estate companies like EXP
Okay, because
should
that
play?
kind of blends into the next question too, right? Of how does EXP as a virtual brokerage?
Kind of, yeah. How is EXP as a virtual brokerage more significantly green because it's virtual?
Okay.
And the first question is more about just real estate companies in general. What role should they play in addressing environmental challenges?
Okay, got it.
Got it?
Yep.
All right, let's take it again. So, what role do you believe real estate companies like EXP should play in addressing environmental challenges and promoting sustainability?
Yeah. So I think with brokerages, obviously brokerages are providing their agents with tools they need to go do their business, right? So I think companies could take a stand on that and be like, hey, here's tools where you can be more green. So one thing that comes to mind is going paperless. I already brought that up. That's just like the obvious one to me. Like, do you know how much paper real estate goes through? Like crazy MLS sheets, business cards, buyer and seller packets. It's so much paper. So that's just like the very obvious one to me. So that's what I'm going to use as an example. And so there's an alternative to that, right? So one alternative would be instead of printing out the MLS sheets to go to showings, how about you email them to your clients instead? How about, real estate companies start teaching on that instead of teaching on printing out MLS sheets, right? That's just simple. Or buyer and seller presentations. Why doesn't the real estate company provide something like, it's called Flip Snack. It's a digital like flip book for PDF files. And so you can pull that up on your iPad or your computer and do your buyer and seller presentation like that. So I think companies can take a stand just providing more resources like that. And then it's also going to save the real estate company money by not having a printer, not having to buy ink. And that's also a real estate agent as well at their home printer in addition to. So I think that's a big change. I think promoting, more events with their agents to get involved with their sphere, like going and doing a river cleanup or something like that. Like that would make a big difference. So yeah, I just think small changes like that if a company takes a stand on it and a company provides the resources for it, the agents will follow.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I think if enough agents knew ways that they could take small steps, then all of us taking small steps makes for a big leap together, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. So
Exactly.
one of the things I love about EXP is, particularly when it comes to our sustainability and our green footprint, is how, as a virtual company, where we're not all going into an office every day, and we do most of our work virtually, at least on the staff side, that makes our company significantly more green than our competition, right? Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yes, I was actually just pulling something up on my phone. That's why I was looking, because I have something I'm going to read. This is a message between Glenn Sanford and Joan Gregerson, who you already mentioned. And I don't know exactly when this was from, but it's a screenshot in a conversation from them. So this is words out of Glenn's mouth. He says, obviously, next to the economy, for most people, climate is the most important consideration long term. I remember some stats years ago. Because EXP runs without any physical offices, we are reducing CO2 emissions around 1 million pounds per year per 100 people who would go to an office every day. If we think half of agents would go into an office daily, that's 400 million pounds of reduced CO2 emissions because EXP exists. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. That really is something. Yeah.
Yeah. When I saw that, I was just like, wow, that's powerful. Like, just because we're a virtual brokerage, like, we're making a difference alone, because we don't have physical offices. People aren't driving in. I mean, even so, like, us real estate agents, we still drive to showings, drive to appointments, that kind of stuff. But I still work from home most days. Unless I have an appointment, unless I have showings, like, I'm working at my computer at home. So I'm still, even as an agent, reducing that, even if I'm not working entirely from home.
Yeah, it's pretty stunning. It's pretty stunning, honestly. And I think with our investment in the metaverse, with EXP World and with Frame, we honestly are able to make some work environments that would cost so much money if they were physically built, right?
Yeah.
There's also that piece that is a major cost savings for us, which helps the company be more sustainable on that aspect as well. I think about stuff like the Pride History experience that we built. If you saw that one last year, it would have cost some millions of dollars to build that with a real footprint, but we were able to make something free, right? That's
Huge.
cool. Yeah.
Huge.
And beyond the cost to build the experience, the cost to heat it, light it, all that kind of,
Yeah, that brings me to another point I was thinking about earlier. Like, in my area, there's a entire trash service that's just for new construction communities. Like, literally a whole trash truck that just fills up every day, that goes around to new construction communities and just takes their trash from building houses. And so, I mean, obviously that's residential, but on a commercial side too, it's like there's so much waste involved with, building. And so, just like you just said, because we're virtual, because we have the metaverse kind of thing, then we're just reducing waste in that sense as well, let alone, the heat, the light, the everything.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't have the numbers on me, but there was some report put out about our two conventions that we do a year for shareholders and EXPCon, and when we cut shareholders, how the air travel that was cut down by us just cutting that one event was so significant, right? It's important that we meet at least once a year, right? But cutting one out was just like another gigantic slash in emissions that we're responsible for. When we put out so little, something like that is a big percentage of our emissions, right?
And now it's regional rallies, which I think have a different impact of their own, where it's more local agents getting together and hanging out together, which I think is really special as well. So I think it was a great move to do that.
It was a great move. It really was. That was a fantastic move. Yeah. And the fact that the company was thinking about that when they made that cut and made that switch, it's just the multiple layers, that go into that thought process. And I love that climate is part of that thought process. And I think one of the most beautiful things about that message you read to us is how much Glenn values climate. Like, right there, right, number 2 to the economy, I think is huge.
Yeah.
Right.
One of EXP's core values is sustainability, which I think is awesome, because I don't know if there's any other real estate brokerage out there that has that as one of their core values.
Right. And, for those that don't know, I think we mentioned it briefly in passing, but EXP is building a sustainability division now. That's gigantic. It's huge, right? The impact that that's going to have on the businesses, I can't wait to see what they do. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
We're investing in all the right places.
Yeah. For those who don't know, it's a sustainability division. Like, think of when they launched luxury division. This is going to be a sustainability division, and we're not totally nailed down on the name yet, but it's coming. It's going to be really cool. We're working on some awesome things. The things that I was just mentioning of, things you wish your company provided, we're working on it.
Yeah. And I think it's such a beautiful testament to this company and the way that they value One EXP and what we offer, that you guys have been so integral in that process of creating the sustainability department. I love this company.
Yeah, well, I do too. And, I think something that's really important about EXP is that, like, they, Keith, Glenn always says that this is an agent-centric brokerage, and it's so true. Like, they're always thinking about agents. They're always listening to us. Like, if you have feedback, they listen. And, the Climate Action Network, sustainability division, like, yeah, sustainability is one of the core values of EXP, but like all of this is starting because agents said, hey, we want this. And so they're working on it, which is awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I want to pivot. We've got our list of questions, but I want to ask one here. Why should agents at EXP and staff members, what's the benefit from joining Climate Action Network? Why should they go join today?
Yeah. So one thing that I'll be implementing now that I'm co-chair, I'm very excited about is, and also just in a pivot because the sustainability division is starting. And so like, we're kind of reevaluating like, okay, what does Climate Action Network look like now that there's a sustainability division? Because a lot of what we were doing is what they're going to be doing now, but with like the power of the company, kind of behind them, where now more like, so then what are we? And that's kind of our discussion in the last few meetings. And it's the word that keeps coming up is community. And so we're going to be focusing more on community of people that are passionate about, sustainability, climate change, all those kinds of things, whatever word you call it. And that's another thing that we've been discussing a lot because, I think with anything involving sustainability, climate change, all the names is that there's so much and it's impossible to be an expert in all of it. And we all have our own stories on how we got involved with it. Like for me, I keep bringing up waste and trash because that's what got me involved with it. That's what made me passionate about it. Whereas like, Aaron Rice, who's in Climate Action Network, he's very passionate about air quality. And so he's talking about, radon and improving the air quality in your home and all that kind of stuff. And, we all have a different passion about it and we can't all be an expert in all of it. And I think that's something that people that are involved with sustainability and climate change, that they want to be involved, but they quickly, literally feel the weight of the world on their shoulders. And so then they're like, well, I'm just not going to do anything because that's just too much. I just can't do everything. And so, with Climate Action Network, we've really been trying to figure out the best way to give everyone their voice on what they're passionate about in this space. And have more of a community where we can all learn from each other. And so what I'm working on is putting together a weekly, happy hour. We're joking that it's going to be called like kombucha hour or wheatgrass hour or something like that. I'm not sure what it's going to be called.
But I love it.
But we're going to put together like a weekly get together where we can all kind of chat and brainstorm with each other on how we're implementing this into our businesses and learn from each other on what we're passionate about. And so there'll be, a different speaker every week that it's going to kind of host the conversation. 1 week I'll do trash. The next week, Aaron will do air quality. The next week, someone will do commercial. We've got a bunch of commercial people that are very passionate about sustainability, which I also think is really cool. That we have both a residential and commercial voice in the network. And so, yeah, I think that's awesome. Like, I think some of my best conversations that I've had with other agents that are interested in this is like, one that comes to mind is with Stephanie Prenat. I don't know how you say her last name.
Prenat, yeah.
Prenat. She like just talking about how she's implementing this in her business. She said, and sorry, Stephanie, I'm sharing this. Everyone's going to steal this because it's so good, but I'm sure she doesn't mind. But for open houses, instead of like leaving with, candy or something like that, she grows thyme plants in little terracotta pots and brings them to her open houses and says, thank you for your time. I'm like, that's adorable. Cute. So I'm growing thyme plants in my grow light right now because I just think that's adorable. And so it's like conversations like that I think are the conversations we're all wanting to have. Like, okay, how do we be more sustainable? How do we apply this to our business? How do we make more money? How do we do all this kind of stuff? And so I'm hoping that community aspect of climate action, having these weekly kombucha hours.
Yeah.
Well,
I love that idea of the thyme plant too, because it really speaks to planting a memory in somebody's head to come back to you and use you again, right? That's one of those branding things that is such a big deal in real estate. Everybody says it's such a big deal. That I tell the story all the time. It's not exactly a climate thing, but I tell the story all the time. I had a pair of realtors who were both in their 80s, a married couple, that sold me my second house in Syracuse. And when they sold me my house, I just loved them so much because they're the cutest old couple ever. And they had like a glamour shot for their photo where they're both like you know,
Like
but
JC Penney's in the 80s, like
yes, it's magnificent. You'd see that glam shot everywhere. But when they sold me my house at closing, they gave me a cheese knife, a really nice cheese knife, and it was engraved with their name and their contact information on it. And the guy who barely spoke at all, his wife did most of the talking, said, "Think of us whenever you cut the cheese." And I have never forgotten that. And I will always use them as agents if I'm in the area.
oh my
They made
gosh.
me a customer for life. Like I still follow them on Facebook because that little dad joke and gift, I
It
can't.
works.
It worked. It worked so well. I still use that cheese knife when I have company and people ask me where I got it, and I tell the cut the cheese story. And it's now people know they've branded,
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, I love that. And that brings me on a topic of sustainable closing gifts as well. That's another thing agents can do to be more sustainable in their businesses too. Like for me, I'm giving house plants because that lasts forever. People are going to remember it as long as they keep it alive.
Yeah.
And, that's really sustainable where, if you just give a bottle of wine, they're going to drink it the same night and then they're going to forget about it. And then it doesn't stick around.
And then there's a bottle that's got to be recycled. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
And some people live in an area like mine. When we moved to Illinois out in here to this small town, I was trying to research how to do my recycling. And we literally don't have a recycling program.
That's crazy.
At all. There's not a place I can take it. There's a place you can take your recycling, but it costs money to do the recycling. And there's not like blue bins that you can take out. It's this is the first time that I felt like maybe I need to get into politics. Because what is happening here? Like all of our recycles are going to the landfills here, and then it makes me I've never lived in a city where that was the case, and it makes me wonder how many other cities in the country are like that.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Joan Gregerson, she wrote a book called Climate Action Challenge, and in there she mentions that I believe it was her that started a recycling program in Niwot, Colorado, which is just outside of Boulder, Colorado, and I think a lot of people have heard of Boulder. It's very hippie town.
Yeah,
and so you think so you'd think that whole area probably has that. And I don't think Niwot, which is like literally an outskirt of Boulder, it didn't have one until she started it. So, and I could be kind of botching that story a little bit. It's kind of fuzzy in my head, but something like that, where I think she started it or someone she knew started it. But to have to start a recycling program, that's wild to me,
Yeah.
It's 2024.
It's 2024. Like I thought everybody had that.
Yeah.
It's not that I've lived in big cities my whole life, and this is the smallest city I've ever lived in. That's not the case at all. It just wasn't a priority here. Like, I don't know how that is the case.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, wild.
Yeah.
So we covered that question already. Looking ahead, what are your aspirations and goals for our company in terms of environmental sustainability, particularly in the context of Earth Month and beyond?
Yeah. So, we talked about how the sustainability division's starting, and I think that is the biggest step that we should be taking right now. I think we're already doing it, which is awesome. I'm really excited to see what comes from that. And I think that's ultimately going to, make a change to honestly the real estate industry. Like, I just think it's so cool that EXP is doing that and that I get to be a part of that because like I said, I don't think there's any other brokerage out there that has a sustainability division or even has sustainability as a core value. Like EXP's like changing the game as they always do. They're always ahead of the game. Mm-hmm. And here they go again. And it's just so exciting. So I think that number one, I think we're already doing it. I think we're heading there. And then I think it's just going to get more and more agents involved because they're going to have the tools to make the change, because I think that was, a big thing for me. Like I wanted to, but like how? So I think having the sustainability division, having the climate action network, that's the how. And we'll learn from each other as the industry continues to change, because, I think, again, going back to like making small changes makes a big difference. And, agents feeling the weight of the world on their shoulders. It's like, people don't get involved because they feel like it's too much. And so I think if you can make the small changes and, more importantly, vote with your dollars. That's one of my favorite sayings, vote with your dollars. Like what's important to you, spend your money there. And so if you had to choose a brokerage to be with, and this is something that's important to you, why don't you, choose a brokerage that's involved in this? And, I think it's maybe feel small now, and maybe we don't know what the future is going to, hold with what the sustainability division will look like. What are they going to do? We're still figuring that out. Right. But I think making the small change now to get involved will make a big difference later. And I have a couple, personal examples of that where I'm vegetarian. I've been vegetarian since I was 15, and
Wow.
I'm 29 now. So it's almost half my life. And when I became vegetarian, when I was 15, whatever year that was, there was like not much going on as far as like plant-based alternatives.
Awesome.
Like,
Yeah.
I think the only company out there that was creating veggie burgers was Boca. And I'm sorry if anyone from Boca is listening right now, but like, not very good. Not very good at all. And so that's all I had though, right? And so now, almost 15 years later, there's tons of options out there. I can go to any restaurant and I can have any sort of plant-based meal, and there's an option there. Or I can go to the grocery store and I can buy plant-based alternatives. Like, I know eating whole foods better, but like, I'm a busy realtor. I don't always have time to make my food from scratch, right? So like the options are there, and it's because more people got involved, more people had a voice, more people, leading by example. I think that's the most important, like, umbrella topic of all of this is lead by example. If you can make a little change, someone else is going to be like, I like that. And I'm going to make my own change. And then everyone's going to follow. And, exponentially, it just grows. It takes time. Like, it's not an overnight solution. None of us can go save the world overnight. But if we all do a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit there, and our friend does this and their friend does that and their friend does that, then slowly we can make a difference. And I think that's what's important. And so I think EXP just moving forward with the sustainability division, moving forward with Climate Action Network, just having this option at all, I think is making a huge change.
I couldn't agree more. That's beautifully put. And, the question that I always ask to end these interviews is if you were presented with someone whose first day at EXP Realty was today, what advice would you give them?
I love that. I can't remember if I answered this in my last interview on here or not. I'm trying to have different answers from the last time. But I think, like, for me, the number one thing you could do if you're brand new to EXP is go to EXPCon. And I can't remember if I said that last time or not, but it is so important to go to EXPCon. That will change your life. Like, I know, getting the ticket, I know it's a lift. I know getting the flight, getting the hotel, I know it's a financial lift, but you're not going to regret it. It is so worth it. It's,
there's so much to take in.
And just being around everybody in such a high energy, high vibration kind of environment is, life-changing. And like I said, that's how I got involved in the Climate Action Network, is because I went to EXPCon and I went to Keith's class, and the rest is history. So that's my number one thing. Save up. This year it's going to be in Miami, so it's going to be super fun and different. And I'm super excited. There's no way I'm missing it.
And if you come to EXPCon, please stop by the One EXP booth and have a conversation with your boy. I'm always there.
Yeah.
I will be manning that table, and I will talk your ear off about anything you want to talk about when it comes to these kind of things. And we'll find you your community, right? Yeah. Where we can plug you in. And that's so important, especially the virtual company, is finding your community. And I can help you with that. So go to EXPCon, find me, find Morgan, find Katie, find your tribe, right?
Love it.
All right. Well, this has been a beautiful, beautiful conversation, and I want to thank you again for joining us on here. We will see you next time on the Culturecast.
Thanks, Cody.